This is a tier list of the best adventures to play with D&D 2024. Now, let's roll initiative. With the release of the new Player's Handbook, a lot of GMs and players are going to probably start a new campaign. But Homebrew campaign, it's a lot of work. Maps, characters, writing a world. Well, you can always play a module. Modules are pre-written adventures that takes your players in a really predefined path in some ways, showing them a world already created by someone else, and characters and story that you haven't developed yourself. You as a game master, as you're running that adventure. It is good if you find yourself in some creative struggle. You just don't have the time to develop everything and go crazy with homebrew. So they are very, very handy. But frankly, not all modules are created equal. Some of them give you different things, and there are some that are better than others, but if they offer the same type of adventure. That's why we are going to make this tier list and explain every model that they have played or run to see if that will fit your table for the release of the new Player's Handbook. Ground rules. First of all, a few considerations you have in mind. First thing is that I love to add a lot of homebrew to these modules. To the way I put it, I take inspiration from the module, but at the end of the day, I tend to create my own story based on the module for my players. I'm trying to suit their taste. But even if I like to add this extra work, not everyone will want to. And the amount of work that you need to put on the table in order to polish a certain adventure, that will be important. The difficulty of the campaign in order to run it, it's only going to be something mentioned, but it won't affect the run. Now, if it's a horrible campaign, outside of that it's very difficult to pull it off and to run in good standards, not just for homebrew, but by the way the campaign is structured, well, that way that will be important. But if the campaign is good but tricky, that won't matter for the run games. I will be dividing each adventure in two parts. First of all, a quick synopsis of the plot and the structure of the module. The second thing will be my perspective as a GM and my opinion as a GM. With this, let's start. Lost Mine of Phandelver. Short adventure from levels 1 to 5, as your group will try to explore the region and try to uncover the many secrets hidden within. Expect a sandbox style adventure where you will choose where to go next and how to engage with the many problems of this land. This adventure has the freedom to explore and to take the choices that you want, with still having that classical D&D feeling. It is from 2014, but it really feels perfect for 2024. Okay, the adventure works. It's great, and you can basically almost run it by the book. It's still a sandbox, so you need to be very careful with the hooks that you give to the players to go to the different places in the land. But, well, you have so many charts, so many information, so many little pieces that will help you make this puzzle whole and together. It is great for any new DMs that want to start. It is truly an S tier. Phandelver and Below. This adventure is basically Lost Mines of Phandelver, but instead of ending at level 5, it takes the group further to level 12, as a strange group of cultists are now attacking the town of Phandalin. Expect lots of aberrations, like manflayers, tons of body horror, and a focus on dungeons and combat, more than roleplay or exploration. It's weird to continue a superb sandbox with a series of dungeon crawls, different dungeons with style of hack and slash, and not a lot of roleplay opportunities. It is Why? Why they followed a world full of complex roleplay, problems, and choices with a game of hack and slash? I don't know exactly, but the game it still works. It's very simple, very easy to play, very easy to run into. To be honest, a few of the dungeons at the middle of this adventure felt a little bit boring and flat. Aside of that, the good thing is that it's very simple to run. It's very easy for new DMs, and you don't need to add a lot of steps. Everything just works. That's it, just work. So that part is good. Also, if you love mind flayers, aberrations, creatures like that, and body horror in general, you're going to enjoy this adventure a lot. The final dungeons are amazing, very different from the first ones. For all of that, I will give this adventure a B tier. Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. The cities of Baldur's Gate and Elturel had an uneasy relationship for years and years. The first one is the city of crime. The second one is a holy city. Now you have learned that behind both cities there's a devilish plot, and in order to stop it, you will need to travel to Avernus, the first layer of hell. And you will explore this new world with war machines, vehicles literally taken from Mad Max. Now, in Avernus, maybe you will lose your soul to a devil, or you will survive and gain the status of a true hero. Okay, as it's written, this adventure is a dumpster fire. The encounters are not balanced at all. The main ones in Baldur's Gate are so lethal for your party that they are crazy. Change them, please. Aside of that, Baldur's Gate as a whole feels pointless. Added use for promotion and for some sort of having a link with Baldur's Gate 3. And when you finally reach Avernus, instead of cool exploration and decision making, you get a series of fetch quests. Literally, from one place to another, from one creature to another, that don't really add up to the overall plot in Avernus. Now, the themes, characters, and ideas, and the setting as a whole of this adventure is great, but you will need to put a lot of work, crazy amount of work, hours and hours and hours, to make everything work and to change everything. What I did, I ran this campaign for two of my groups, it's basically I change a lot of the things in Baldur's Gate, and in Avernus I completely change the different hooks from the different places, changing the way that they reach each place in Avernus and giving them a cheaper free. It can be an S tier adventure for your players if you put a lot of work, but it stands at the amount of work it requires and how bad it works, it's a D tier. Waterdeep Dragon Heist, the Alexandrian remix. Your good friend Bolo needs your help for something very important. And after that, the adventure will take you through every corner of Waterdeep as you learn politics, schemes, and what every faction wants in this city. Fun part is that you will have your own business, your own tavern, at the same time as you investigate and try to find out the secret plots of many villains in this movie. Now, the Dragon Heist I'm talking about, it's not real one from the book. It's the revision that is called by the community the Alexandrian remix that takes the party to level 7. The original campaign will be a D tier for me. It doesn't respect the players' choices and decisions. It doesn't have any real haste, and it doesn't do anything to bring the villains of the story to the forefront. They are always in the shadows. That's just not fun. Why? That's why I recommend the Alexandrian remix of the adventure. It's basically it restructures the whole story with actual heists, with actual tension, and having the villains is an important point, and enemies that your characters are going to meet, see, and be bothered by. Now, this is an adventure with a lot of politics and factions and planning from your part and part of your players. Very different from every other adventure in this list. And you will need to read and prepare 2 books, so it can be literally double the work. But I assure you, it is worth it, guaranteed. Side of the work, counting everything good that it has, it is an A-tier page. Tyranny of Dragons. Tyranny of Dragons, it's a mix of the first 2 adventures that came for 5th edition. First one, Horde of the Dragon Queen, will take the characters from level 1 to level 8. Second one, Rise of Tiamat, will bring them from level 9 to level 15. So it's one of the adventures that really bring the characters to high level. It is focused on stopping the cult of the dragon, an evil organization that is raiding many settlements along the Sword Coast as they try to use the chromatic dragons to control the Sword Coast. The first part, Horde of the Dragon Queen, is a spy thriller where your characters will need to infiltrate the cult of the dragon in different ways, railroady but fun. Rise of Tiamat is the war after the spy mission, where your characters will need to navigate the politics of the Sword Coast as they do different quests along the land, trying to set one last attack against the cult of the dragon. It is very lethal. The first part is very wacky, so be careful with the first chapter of the book. It can be very difficult for new players, so try to adjust the difficulty. First part is railroady and it's very easy to broke the adventure. So be careful and tell with your players about expectations. And that, yeah, it's going to be railroady. Second part, Rise of Tiamat, it's more open, but it's a lot of work because, well, the guys will be traveling all over the place and you will need to prepare all sorts of different places. Adventure has an unholy amount of work. Your characters will travel through the whole Sword Coast. Not one city like Baldur's Gate or Waterdeep, the whole Sword Coast. And that's very fun, but at the same time it puts a lot of work in the DM's shoulder because there's no information about any city. No Daggerford, no Baldur's Gate, no Waterdeep, nothing. It's like, but how are you going to put all of the information? How are you going to put interesting quests or side things to do in those places? That's on you, buddy. The adventure is very fun, and it can be one of the most epic experiences in D&D if it's done correctly. But it has so much work and it puts so much in the DM's shoulders that I need to give this a C tier. I cannot give it more. Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. Icewind Dale is, well, the far north, well beyond the spine of the world. The region has been suffering an unnatural winter for more than 2 years. The villagers of the 10 towns, the only places of civilization in Icewind Dale, are suffering the consequences of this horrible winter. Your group will need to help them in their everyday problems as you start to learn that the Rime of the Frostmaiden, this curse that was put on the land, it's real, and that something or someone wants to cover the land of ice to protect some sort of secret. This is a sandbox campaign that sadly doesn't have a good structure. I feel that many of the hooks around the Frostmaiden are put very badly and they're very lazy. There is a lot of areas in this game that I have read them and I'm like, why my characters will go there? The excuses are too thin, too badly put together. Now, 10 Towns has a lot of detail. The areas outside Icewind Dale in itself, the majority of the areas are very small, without that extra detail, and with not a lot of interesting things. It's like I find a way to put a nice hook and make my characters go to this location, but there is nothing really worth it in here. You really need to find a way of making your characters be interested in the overall world and in the tiny areas around Icewind. Aside of that, the adventure is still fun. It has a lot of cool ideas too. You will really also need to tune the survival mechanics a little bit and change or ban a few spells like Good Berry or Tiny Hat, because they will literally destroy every aspect of survival mechanics in this game if you can already gain food with one spell. But yeah, it's a campaign full of cool ideas, sandbox style, I like that, but it has a, a lot of shortcomings in the hooks. You will need to work a lot into adding your characters to this story. For that, I will say that this is a C tier. Vecna Eve of Ruin. I am going to be really quick with this one. I am not even going to add a synopsis. This is simple. I've tried to prepare this adventure, but as I read the whole module, I was flabbergasted. This module commits one of the greatest sins that any D&D story can have. It is so bad that I am just surprised that Wizards of the Coast had let this monstrosity of a campaign be published like that. If you're a DM, you know what I'm referring to. If you're a player, trust me, run away from this campaign or make sure that your game is changing everything a lot. The scene, sadly, it's so engraved into the plot of the story that it is very difficult to change and will require a lot of work. It is really not worth it for this really roady dungeon crawler. It is a D tier. Curse of Strahd. You have been invited to Barovia, strange land full of deadly mist, monstrosities like werewolves or vampires. Count Strahd von Zarovich. It's the Lord that rules this land through his power and fear, making everyone's life miserable. Now, armed with the tarot cards, series of cards that have told you your fortune, and a series of clues for where to find different magical items and allies that will let you put a stop to the Vampire Lord. It's the moment that you start your journey in this forsaken land. Okay, I'm going to say the coldest take that any DM ever said. Curse of Strahd is the best adventure in D&D 5th. Probably one of the best ones that you can play with the new Player's Handbook. It is just so different from any other adventure. The vibes and the feel and the different situations that will reminds you of that classic gothic horror. It really changes the game. The adventure is great and puts an amazing sandbox where your players already have a strong hook. To find the tarot readings, to find the items, to find the allies along the land to be able to vanquish Strahd. That's already everything they need to want to explore everything and get as many clues as they can from where to find the next item. So your players have complete freedom over where to go in the land. And outside of that, the next thing that they have is a compelling story. Strahd is one of the best characters in all D&D history, and there's so many roleplay opportunities. In this bleak world, your players will be put to the test. Surviving this adventure is very difficult, and the choices on the plot and the world itself, from where to explore next, are amazing. I will say that Curse of Strahd is an S tier, and probably one of the best tales to ever share with your players at the table. That's everything for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking till the end. Please give a like, subscribe, and ring that bell if you want to get more notifications about my guides and shots. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next adventure.